Hello and welcome. Today I'm having a conversation with a good friend of mine and a business mentor, my business mentor, not just a business mentor, Karrie from Karrie Out Loud. Welcome, Karrie, to Disrupt, Dominate, Delegate. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so
Good.
good. I'm so excited to be on the show with you.
Me too. Me too. Can
Yeah.
you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your business, what you do? I'm sure we'll get into the more depths of it later because it's part of the conversation, but we'd love to
Yes.
know more.
Well, I am a business coach and mentor to ADHD women, and I help feral ADHD women disrupt industries and become thought leaders. So basically, we're here to disrupt, we're here to shake shit up, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time to step into that power and understand that you are one of those things. So I help kind of really with mindset and offer suite and take a look over their business as a whole. And I've been in business 25 years, but 6 in the online arena. And I'm currently doing something I've never done. I've had six-figure businesses before, but not seven. And so I thought I would double dog dare myself to have $1 million revenue year and take everyone along for the ride. So no matter where it goes, at least I'm showing them everything along the way so they can see what's possible for them. So
I
that's
love
what
that.
I do.
I
Yes.
love that. It's been so fun to watch that too. And we're gonna put everything in the show notes about how to follow Karrie, how to hang out with Karrie, how to ask Karrie more or see more about what Karrie's doing with her $1 million in a year. So that'll be down there for you all to
Mm.
check out. But today, I wanted to ask you some questions because Karrie and I have been working together. She's been my business mentor for what? What'd you say? Is it? I mean, 10 months,
10
11 months?
months, maybe 11.
Yeah, we've been working together in some capacity for about almost a year.
Yeah.
And we started working together so that I could help you in your business as well, maybe 6, 7 months ago. And
Yes.
since we started doing that, you have been, I mean, what that means for the people who maybe don't know out there, what that means is that Karrie had things that she wanted to delegate, and I was the person that she asked to help her with that. And so we've been on, working on she has a beautiful business with a ton of amazing plans. And so we've been working on what pieces of that can she delegate out and how can she show up in her business differently because she does that.
Yes.
So we can talk a little bit about like all the pieces that we work on together and how we
Mhm.
delegate that out. But I
Mhm.
really want to ask you the question first. Like, how has this changed things for you?
For a while, I had a list of things that I knew, like, that I wanted to delegate. I knew. And there was a part of my business where I didn't know I had ADHD and I delegated everything. But the problem was I didn't know how to run my own freaking business. Like, I delegated so much, I didn't even know how my own business operated. But that's a different situation than where we are now. Once I got my ADHD diagnosis, it finally made sense. And I was like, oh, that's why I keep handing things off to other people. So took everything in my business for a year. That includes creating, editing my podcast, writing my newsletters and scheduling them, client appointments and work, the things that I want to do in my business, but all of those little tasks. I learned the back end of Kajabi, how to create the offers. So since I knew how to use none of it and I realized I had ADHD and I was like, oh no, I'm way more capable than I give myself credit for. I'm going to take all of these things. I'm going to learn them. And then there is going to be a time where I'm going to have to delegate because it is time for me to do that in my business. Because if y'all think Oprah answers her own emails, like, let's get real. Like, every major business person has a point where they start to delegate. And I knew I had gotten to that point, and I knew in my mind that Brooke was the person just because of how we got along, and I trusted her because one of the things we have issues with is trust and being able to hand over pieces of our sweet baby angel business and trust it with somebody else with it and think, oh, you know some of the thoughts are like, they're not going to do it as good as I do. But what I also know is I get to review everything. So if there's any tweaks or things I want to make, I have the last say on that. And I know that. So it was really easy to then trust Brooke because I had gotten to know her in a capacity as my client and I understood her and her business. I felt very good handing those things over. So we started with a couple of things and then it was a couple of more things. And now it's to the point where I have the thing I use is a brain plate, right? when you go into a restaurant and you have just the right amount of food on your plate, nothing falls off. But when we start packing that brain plate like we're at a freaking hometown buffet, things start falling off, right? And so that's when the ball starts being dropped. Your client experiences are not going to be as good because there are going to be things you miss. And what has happened for me is my brain plate is no longer a buffet. I actually have room. And what that has done was I created a course that came out of nowhere, literally nowhere, because I had the room in my brain that I wasn't trying to juggle all the balls or spin all the plates. I was able to hand some of those over to you. And that gave me room to take some more of these creative ideas that I'd had in my head or new ones that came into effect and do that. It also helped me connect the dots on creating a client road because I had so many things that were disjointed. Nothing went together. So by being able to hand off this little shit, I was no longer working in my business all the time. I could work on my business. And that was the massive shift that Brooke gave me.
That's awesome. I keep thinking about going through the line of the Chinese food and dropping my crab rangoons on the floor now. And it's like, now I just want a crab rangoon really bad.
My bad.
It's okay. I love that analogy though. And it's so true because, yeah, we as business owners, a lot of times we get into this mindset of we have to do everything um, because we always have
Yes.
or things like that. But also, especially as ADHD women, our brains are working
Hmm.
so fast and we're constantly taking in new information and trying to process it and put it out in the world as something. And if we're trying to do that and also the little tasks in between,
Yes.
it's like a one-way road to burnout.
Hmm. I was headed there. I was headed there. When you came in, I was absolutely heading there. And I freaking love what I do. So it doesn't matter how much you love what you do. If ADHD women are stubborn. We are stubborn.
What?
We want to do, yeah, I know. We want to rebel. Don't tell me what, as I joke on my podcast, don't tell me what to do, but also, low key tell me what to do and exactly how to do it. Right. So we don't want to ask for help. It feels like we think of it as a weakness, but frankly, it is a massive strength to ask for help because that is going to be how you grow. So if you're up against a revenue wall or you've hit a ceiling, and you've been at that revenue wall or been at that ceiling for a long time, that's because you don't have more time or more capacity. And so when you are able to hand off and delegate certain things, the things that are like the bane of your existence that make you want to poke your eye out with a hot stick, and you give it to Brooke, who's like salivating, going, let me have it, because she loves to do those things.
Mhm.
That is her being able to be in her zone of magic and you being able to be in yours, me, or as I say, me being able to be in mine, which is looking at my programs, tweaking them, make sure that I'm giving my clients exactly what I want to give them, and the time with my clients, like having more time to figure out what kind of things I want to offer and how I really, really want to support my clients. Now I can do that so much easier.
Right, because that's the piece where you need to be present. Like, that's the piece that if
Yes.
you weren't there to do, your business wouldn't be your business anymore, and that's
Yep.
never anything that a virtual assistant or an OBM or anybody who's helping your business ever wants to take away from you. They
Yep.
wanna help you to highlight those things more, to be present in those things more, and one of the
Yes.
things that I have noticed, in you in the last several months is how focused you are in creating the things that are gonna help your clients so much more.
Mhm.
Like, I have seen some of the coolest ideas just, like, burst out of your brain in the last several months, and they were always there. They were always there, but you were excited because you have the time to actually develop them now,
Yes.
and that's been really cool, and that gives me, like, a business lady boner, like you talk about all the time,
Yes, yes.
because, like, I'm sitting here, like, this is I get to, like, a side seat of watching you build this business and create this
Mhm.
income and change people's lives, and
Mhm.
I just so excited.
Mhm.
You had
It's
something to
fun.
say. I noticed you were trying to say something there.
No, it's fun because I get to work on my business, not just in it. Because if you are in it all the time, there are things or ideas that are going to come into your head where you can't flesh them out because you do not have the capacity mentally. You don't have the bandwidth to do that because you're so in on the little nitpicky things, and those things take up way more energy for us than they do for other people. So it gets extra overwhelming, and there's no room to build new things or take some of our phenomenal ideas and, earth-shattering ideas that we wanna bring in that are gonna, shift things for our clients. I mean, our brains are already loud, and then we
Mm.
have all these other things for our business, and that's loud. So where's the time? Where's the space? And so having the ability to have that space so that, I don't know, a full program can drop into my brain and I can flesh it out in one day and just be like, "Yep, this is the thing." Those are the kind of things that started happening, and it was so cool because it was like, "Oh, okay, this feels good." I'm very clear on the days I need to get things to you by, and that took me a little bit of time to do, but I also knew that doing that was going to help me do a lot less things. So by making sure that I knew, 2 or 3 specific days where 2 or 3 specific things or the specific things go to you, and I don't have to think about it. I just get those things to you. Bing, bang, boom. I'm done with that part. I can go on and
Yeah.
do my magic.
I wanna ask you about that because as people with ADHD, I mean, deadlines are a good thing. We loved our good deadline, but we also have this tendency to not like to have like a little bit of a rebellious situation,
Mhm.
um, just a
Mhm.
little.
A
Uh,
little lot.
yeah, a little lot. So I'm curious about that, and I mean, I know that now it's good and that we feel good
Mm,
in the flow that we're in, but I'm just curious about how that felt right away when we're like, okay, normally you would do your podcast like when you could, or just
mhm.
get it so that you knew that you could have it done by a certain time. But now it's like, I have to have this by this day or I won't have the time to do it for you.
Mhm.
Does that feel like a box or does that feel like right away? Did it feel like a box or does it, cause like for now it's relief, I know, but I'm just curious.
At first, because I did not sit with you and hone in on specific days and I was just kinda willy-nilly getting you shit, it felt chaotic to me.
Mm,
And then once I look, when we have a date and a time, we have to have something to another human being by, we thrive in that shit. So, when we sat down a little bit into our time working together and said, "Okay, Mondays, I'm gonna get you this. Thursdays, I'm gonna have you this." Brr, brr, brr. I know those things, I don't miss them now. I don't skip them now. I don't forget to get those things done now. So I have an alarm set for each of the days and the things I need to get to you just to make sure it did not feel like it felt like a box when we didn't have the specifics. It was just like, "Oh, I have to get her all this stuff," and I felt like I was running around with like a chicken with my head cut off. But when I
right.
had the specific days for the specific things, I knew when I was gonna be able to get those things done and get them out to you and be done with it. I'm
Yeah.
able to have a little bit of structure in getting those things to you and having those deadlines, and I'm able to have flow in the rest of my business and just kinda run it how I like to. So it's
Yeah.
the best of both worlds, really.
I think I found for myself and then for a lot of the people I work with too, when you have a few things that are deadlined, like you said, that flow starts to happen because you're like, okay, I'm going to do this every week at this time. You still have the flexibility to do things around it, but
Yes.
it gives you like an anchor point almost where
Mhm.
it's like, this is the thing I'm doing that day. And I start to recognize that when I'm recording my podcast, those days, I'm also really good at doing these other things.
Yes.
And then it feels like things started to just come off the checklist a little bit easier.
Right, right, because also switching different types of tasks is hard for us. Like, if we are trying to do 4 things that are not related in any way, shifting in between them is difficult. But when I know, okay, my CEO day is Friday, on Fridays, I record the podcast, I get it to you. Sometimes I will write my newsletter that day. If not, I write it on Mondays. So, there's still even a little bit of flexibility even in the structure that we've created. I do know the days that I get those things to you by, and it feels really good. And I do tend to do the things, it's almost like habit stacking, right? It's
Mhm.
like my brain's like, okay, we'll do the podcast. Well, I may as well just get her the love note. It gets the momentum because what we need with ADHD is momentum.
Yeah.
We need a little tiny thing that starts the ball rolling so that all we're doing is tapping it and it continues to roll. So what you've helped me with is have those anchor moments that give me momentum that get me into doing a few other things. And that's why I have like a CEO day on Friday, and Monday is more like a flex day, where I
Mm.
can possibly see clients if they need it. And I know that my client work is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I've been able to set up a schedule like that I love because I have this support and I know when those things are due. And it just helps me in general, just all around. It's
Yeah.
changed the trajectory of my own business for sure.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad.
Me too.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about is you talk about potato days. And so let's explain what a potato day is, but also, how does delegating help you with those? Is that something you're
Mhm.
able to do more often?
Well, a potato day came from another creator out there. She's a huge ADHD coach. I'll have to get her name, but I just love her. And I first heard potato days there, and I was like, "That's what it's like." Because we will haul ass. We will work for 9 or 10 or 11 hours straight on something, and just be all up in it. And the next day, we're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't do anything." Right? So we have to know that our energy ebbs and flows, and we have to understand that sometimes we're going to have potato days or days where our brains are just fried. And so having you there also helps because I have less things I need to do. And for me, my focus is the client work. My
Mhm,
client work is always going to be done by around 2 or 3. So I know that if I don't have client work that day and something comes up, I can take potato time, couch rotting, whatever you want to call it. Watch some stupid Netflix show, because if you are not building rest into your business plan, you're screwed. You
mhm,
will fall on your face at some point, and that's not to scare anyone, that's to get real with you. So, for example, if I'm having a day where my brain is just not braining and it gets to be around 1 o'clock and I'm just like, I can't do another thing, I don't do another thing, because I know that once I sleep and I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be refreshed. I'm going to feel more like myself. Whereas before, I would just force myself to push through that, and that didn't work. Like I've talked about, I have had 2 other six-figure businesses. I burned them down because I went so hard for so long, and then I was like, "I don't wanna do this anymore, I hate it."
mhm.
And I love what I do. And when I learned that working with that energy flow is so helpful, and also knowing that one day, no one's dying. No 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 one's arms falling off, you know what I mean? So it is, you have to build potato days into your business plan.
I think the thing that is like the overlying message here is that when you have systems, when you have a
Mhm,
foundation, when you know what your bare minimum is, and you
mhm.
have either automations or delegations that can help you do that bare minimum, even
Yes.
when you can't show up or need to step away for a minute,
Mhm,
your business will thrive because you're going to hit capacity. But when you hit capacity, you also hit this point where your business will just stop. You will hit some sort of income ceiling. You will hit some sort of point where you just want to burn it to the ground, which is going to
yep.
happen from time to time. But I mean, like, seriously,
But,
like,
like,
you're
for
gonna,
real.
right,
Not how we joke
right.
about it, like, whoosh.
Like where you're wondering if your mental health is going to suffer if you continue,
Sure.
kind of thing. And
Correct.
that's
Mhm,
so I think that's such an important thing that business owners, entrepreneurs, and especially ADHD women entrepreneurs need
mhm,
to understand is that without the rest, without the understanding of your capacity, without the delegation, the automation in your business, you are going to hit this point at some time. And you
mhm,
need to be aware of it, recognize it, and tackle it in a way that's going to help your business continue to
mhm.
thrive and grow versus stop or burn to the ground. Right?
And let me make one other point. So, when you have, say, a free resource, and you put it in some of your pieces of content, and then you have an automation set up where they say a word, ManyChat sets that up. ManyChat, I call it my fembot will send you the link. You'll go into that link, and then you go into an email sequence. Guess who's not sending any of that shit out? Me. We create it once, we put it in place. I am on the other side of the email, so instead of being reactionary, I am responsive. It's different when you're reacting to every fire in your business as opposed to responding. So let's say I have a free resource that's 5 days worth of emails. And then on the sixth day, it may offer them to go deeper with me if that's their choice. I can be having a potato day and see money come in. Why? Not because of me being reactionary and doing. I'm on a potato day. So when they say make money in your sleep and all those things that you hear, what they're really saying is have systems in place that do heavy lifting for you in
Mhm.
a lot of ways, and set
Right.
that up with somebody who knows how to help you do that, so that you get to be hands off on those parts and you just get to respond. If they email you or DM you or whatever, you get to have those conversations. And the email sequence, and it could be videos or podcasts, like little mini podcast episodes that you're providing to this person. When you've taken them off of the busy city of Instagram and you've brought them into your world and they've been with you a few days and see what you're doing, they can put themselves into the shoes of somebody who would work with you and say, is she for me or is she not? It's doing heavy lifting for me while I am not actively having to do that and have set that up one time. And
Right.
that is the benefit of systems and having certain things in place that are no longer manual. It will make your income increase.
Yeah.
Period, full stop. It will. If you have things set up like that and you're getting people out of the busy city and you're bringing them into your world, you will make more sales without having to do all of that, without hard selling people, which I don't do anyway, because it's not my
Right.
jam.
Well, that's another thing too. Takes
Mhm.
away that element too, where it also just like leaves it in somebody else. It leaves it in their hands to make that
Mhm.
responsible choice for themselves
Right.
too,
Right.
where
Because
they,
we're grown-ups.
yes, yes. And that is something, if anyone's ever been on a client call with me, I say that you're a grown woman, you can make your own decisions. That's something Karrie said to me from the first day. I was like, yeah, that's right. That's right. I
Yeah.
am grown up and I can make my own
Yeah.
decisions.
There's a lot of like bros out there with the hard sell and ask 100 times and don't get off the call without the sale. And I hate that shit because it's intense for us. It's intense for the client.
Yeah.
And that's just not my jam.
No, no one likes to be in that situation. So don't put somebody in one. It's just,
Right.
that's the way I feel about it. I mean, it's just a basic concept of life, do unto others, I guess.
Right. Right.
But, but yeah, so I'm really glad to hear that delegation has helped you. Like I said, the one thing that's just, I will never forget the day that you messaged me and said, I just whipped out an entire program in a day.
Yeah.
And I loved that. That was so amazing. Your business is like, and I was shocked to pieces, but I mean, like you potato dayed the next day,
I sure
thankfully.
as hell did. I
Shoot,
potatoed
can you imagine?
hard. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a whole
Yeah.
entire amazing course. Um, Blew my mind.
And then 2
But
days later, I recorded the whole thing and then
I
another
know.
potato day. Right. So it's like, but I know, but see, I think one of the keys too that you and I both know is I know I've gotten to know my ADHD. I've
Yeah.
befriended it. I understand the upsides. And I understand that if I'm going to have a day like that, that there's going to be a recovery. I just know it's going to happen. So it doesn't shock me. It doesn't surprise me. I'll look at
Right.
my calendar for the next day and go, okay, these are the things that are absolute must do's. And then after that, potato, which means read
Yes.
or Netflix or whatever. So when you get to know your ADHD, and even if you don't have it, when you get to know your natural life rhythm, when you get to
Mhm.
know your rhythm, you can start to plan better and have malleable plans as opposed to hard, rigid, fit in this box. Because, like I've told Brooke many times, we're not square pegs in round holes. We're parallelograms. We're not meant to go anywhere except wherever the F we want.
That's
So, so learning your ADHD or learning your natural rhythm or flow, that also includes your family's natural rhythm and flow. You can create a business around all of that that's still going to afford you downtime and rest, and also 6 or 7 figures, and have a lucrative as frick business if you set it up around how you live your life. I know creators who do only digital courses, 7 figures, and they're out at the beach and they're out with their kids all the time because they're not having to manhandle their damn business.
right.
Then there's others like me. I like to be all up in it, right? But I also know what my capacity is with being all up in it. So I know how many clients I can take at like my highest level. I know it's 2 because I know I'm really deep in there. And I also know the things on the lower end that I can sell or that sell themselves. So that is a huge part of setting up your business and getting those systems that you need is really learning yourself, learning your ADHD and befriending it and working with it instead of trying to work against it or go with different ways of doing things that people tell you, oh, this is the only way. And I was telling Brooke earlier, I'm like, really? There's like one way to your local Target? No, there's like
Right.
57 ways you can take this side street and that side street. So rules are just arbitrary. we're all just making it up as we go along. So
Yes.
you get to
What is the
create it how
thing you
you want.
say about training wheels and rules?
Oh, my F the rules. my business credo is fuck the rules. There aren't any. We're all just making it up as we go along. And we first were excited because we're like, ooh, I'm learning the rules. And then we're excited because it's like, oh, I know the rules. And then we get excited. This is like the phases of business. Then we get excited. The third phase is, ooh, I know the rules and I cannot follow them anymore. It's like, fuck the rules, right?
Yes.
So, we do have to go through those different parts of our business. Do want to learn some of the basics and fundamentals of sales and certain things if you're going to be in the online arena. But there's a point where you have those training wheels on and you're like, okay, I can ride this bike now. And that's when you start leaning into like that self-trust. When
Mm-hmm.
you get to that place, that third where it's like, I'm learning the rules, hooray. Okay, I know the rules, hooray. I'm breaking the rules now, hooray. I'm breaking the rules now, hooray, is when you trust. That's when you have the ultimate trust in yourself.
Yeah.
You aren't looking around you at what other people are doing because it doesn't matter if they're doing the same exact thing. The delivery system is different. It's coming out of a different mouth with different words in a different way that different people can hear.
Yeah.
And that's the magic. So fuck the rules. There aren't any.
I feel like there's so many things that everybody needs to go do now that we've had this conversation. A
So
couple
what
things,
are we going to assign the people? Okay, people, it's time for your assignment. Brooke always
right?
gives assignments, which I love because
I
she puts you in
do,
action,
yeah,
and then that's going to help your business.
I do. So I do want to put a couple things in the show notes that I think everybody should go check out. First, Karrie and I did a podcast on her podcast about trust in
Yes.
business and as
Mm.
women with ADHD. And it was so good. So I'm going to put that down there. That's something that everyone should go listen to because if you are struggling with delegation or if you're struggling with hiring someone to help you, like as a coach in your business, anything like that conversation is a necessity because it's going
Yeah,
to help you break through some barriers.
for sure.
Also, Karrie has this amazing program where she helps you learn a little bit more about your capacity and when you might be at this point when you need to automate or delegate. So I want to put that down in the show notes as well. You guys can grab that. And then the third thing, because I usually try to do three, is what is the third thing? What should the third thing be, Karrie?
Get out
Yeah.
a piece of paper and a pencil because you want it to come through your body onto a page. That is super key. And I want you to write out all the things in your business that you hate doing, the things that are energy vampires that will literally suck the life out of you. And I want you to take one of those things and do something about it. Whether it is do a one session with somebody to take them for their services for a test drive, but you also come out with a result, or figure out that person you've been thinking about hiring for that thing, go freaking hire them because you can. You're at that point in your business. It's okay to let that go, but write that list out and take that number one thing that makes you want to just scream and do something about it. Because when you do that first thing and you see, oh, I just got 2 hours back in my week. Oh my goodness. You're going to be like, okay, I get it. And then handing off the other things on that list are going to feel a lot less challenging. What do you think of
Yeah.
that one, Brooke? Does that
I love
work?
that. It's an amazing one. Everyone go
Okay.
do it.
Yeah,
Everyone go
do
do
that.
it. You and me too, maybe.
Yeah. Because
And
if
then
you don't think that delegators delegate, you're wrong. We all have to
we
eventually
all
at some point have that because we're one
we do.
person.
We
Doesn't mean you
do.
have to have a massive team. It doesn't mean you have to hire people to work for your business. There are so many beautiful contractors out there who can help you with very specific elements that you may struggle with, and find the people who are the best at that thing. That
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yes. And you're gonna do it.
mhm. Mhm.
Okay, Karrie, I want to thank you for the amazing
Mm.
day. and
You're
time on the
welcome.
podcast. I appreciate you coming and spending your time with us and sharing all of your knowledge and your experience with us. And you're lovely. Everyone go follow her.
Me and Brooke are in love. We
We
love each
are.
other so much. It's ridiculous. But in a good way. We both needed to have a beautiful friendship, and I think we got so lucky that we found it through business. It has been able to evolve into something far more awesome. So I'm appreciative
Yeah.
of you too, my friend. Big time.
Well, I think, okay, sidebar for everybody else, but I think that it was inevitable that we found a good friend and a companion in business because it's something that we love doing so much.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find a friend in the street. I mean, be careful. Be careful about the friends in the street. You know what I mean?
Definitely don't find them in the alleyway. You
Not the
definitely
dark
want to stay on
alleys.
the main street.
Not the dark alleys. But I find that the people that I connect with through business are the friends that I tend to enjoy the most because you can find anybody on the street, not in the alleys, that you can talk about life things with all the time, but it's very rare you find someone who can connect with you on a business level. And I think that that's
Yes.
truly amazing. So if you have not found that in someone yet, keep looking. It's out there. It's an
Yeah.
incredible asset
And it
to.
may not be who you think.
Yep.
Somebody who you may try to not be friends with, Brooke, what you did to me, which was totally reasonable, by the way. But yeah, that's how it started. It was like, she's like, who is this crazy bitch? She keeps talking to me.
Don't talk to
And,
me. What do you
and for
want from me?
me, I was just like, I dig her. And oh my gosh, I love her pink hair. I wish I could have pink hair. You know,
Oh,
it's like we try to rebel against those things because we think somebody wants something from us. And I
mhm,
know that around the interwebs that there
mhm.
are people who want things from you, but sometimes they don't. And Brooke and I was not contacting her to try to work with her or to get
No.
her to work with me. I just dug her. And then it ended up, we were such a good pair as human beings that the working together was like a natural thing. It wasn't even something we thought about. We were just like, yep, we're doing this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
that was the
we're the
beauty
fuck
of it.
yes clients, right? You talk about we're the fuck yes clients, but we're
Yes.
also pals.
Yeah.
That is so funny. You make me like it makes me sound like such a bear, but the story is
No,
also no, seriously, it does. When you have it out of context, it does, and it's fine because I kind of was. But
you
go
can
listen to
edit
the
this out if
podcast
you want
about
to.
no, it's fine. Go listen to the podcast about trust. It's in the
Yeah.
notes because that'll explain it more. But it is so funny. Also, message the people you want to hang out with. It's okay. They're
Yes.
not scary. Please just do it. They might
Yes.
fight you, but it's
Well,
fine.
and
Just
I
be
will say
persistent.
one other, let me leave them with one last
Yeah.
thing. Start hanging out with the people who are where you want to go.
Mm.
Get into the world or in some capacity just genuinely befriend people who are at 10, 20, 50, 100 steps ahead of you, because you get to see what's coming for you down the road and it doesn't feel as weird or awkward. You get to use that not as a way to be envious or jealous, but success leaves crumbs. And
Yeah.
so when you see those successes, instead of looking at it like, I wish I was like her. If you're comparing yourself to them, don't do it. But find those people where it's not comparison, where you're just like, God, this woman is a freaking badass. When I did that in my business, it elevated me immediately. There's no way I could have given Brooke the kind of support I give her now if I hadn't have done that for myself first, if I didn't go first. So find those women and don't want anything from them, just to befriend them.
Mm-hmm.
And the right ones will be so down for it and will love that and they will adore you.
Yes.
So do
Yes, they
that.
will. They will.
I
All
guess
right.
I
I think
gave
that's a
2
lot of tasks
assignments.
for everybody, but it's
Yeah.
fine.
Pick one.
It's fine. Yeah. Pick one.
Yeah.
Yes. Delegate the rest. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
We're
you, Karrie, for
ridiculous. You're
being
welcome,
here.
sweetheart. No
We'll have you back
problem.
again sometime.
Oh, I hope so. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.